everyone. Welcome to Creative Thrive. Not going to lie, very inspired, little intimidated, have a great guest that I am talking to today. Before we started recording, she shared with me that she may have started watching me at 10 years old, which makes me feel incredibly old and also kind of phenomenal. So I can't wait to have a conversation today with Miss 4.7 million people on TikTok, because that is just mind-boggling to me, and the incredibly inspiring and funny Siiri Parks. Hi, Siiri.
Hi, Tabatha.
So you and I met, let me tell everyone, because we chatted a whole bunch before we came on. You and I met on a webinar that we did for beauty school students. There were a lot of professionals, really great industry professionals there, talking about mentorship and inspiration for students. I was unfamiliar with you. I have been in a little bit of a rabbit hole. So I'll give myself a free pass, and no disrespect to you or anyone else out there.
Absolutely get a pass.
I was so inspired by the conversation that we had at this webinar. It was for Beautycast Network, but just so inspired by you and your approach to the industry, and you talking about you're just getting into education and what that was like. And then I tumbled down the all things Siiri Parks rabbit hole, and I found that you have 4.7 million people on TikTok, and now I'm a binge watcher.
Oh, gosh.
What came first, beauty or TikTok?
Yeah, beauty. I mean, I was on TikTok once upon a time, but it was when I was in high school, and back then it was called Musical.ly, and I was never one of the people that got like big from doing the like fun transitions that you would see like Liza Koshy and other people doing, but I still loved watching them. And then I think TikTok bought out Musical.ly, and I used to be one of those people. I like to say that I'm a fake millennial because I'm Gen Z, but I very much act like a millennial. I was one of those people who was like, I'm not gonna download TikTok, but like I'll watch TikTok, or like, you know, on Facebook, like videos getting shared, or like whenever someone would message me, and then I was like, okay, I'll download TikTok, but I won't make an account. And then I made an account, and I was like, I'll make an account, but I'm not gonna make videos. And then I was like, girl, I'm gonna make videos.
Really, you really have videos you have made. And the thing that I'm really curious about with your videos, because they're funny, like you're funny, which I love. And there's also a message in your videos through the humor. There's a message. There's some social activism. You're delivering something when you can actually just get over, you know, Siiri having a conversation to herself, wearing different wigs and putting glasses and props on. There are actually messages in these videos as well. Was that your plan in the beginning?
In the beginning, you know, I absolutely never thought that I would get noticed or that they would take off, but I had a lot of fun doing them. I never thought that I would be a voice for anyone, but I had some really bad experiences at a salon. So with TikTok being as vast as it was and no one knowing who I was, I kind of felt like it could be a video diary for me. I took improv and theater in high school, so I am very theatrical. And I put that and my experiences to use on TikTok, and then, you know, they started getting noticed. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so initially it truly just started out as like a way for me to like vent and have fun and get it off my chest. And then it turned into this thing where people were like, oh my gosh, that happened at this salon that I worked at, or that happened to me in beauty school. And then I was like, okay, so me sharing this, even though like it didn't do anything for me at the time other than absolutely alleviate me mentally and emotionally, I realized that I was helping to set a standard in the industry for both clients and stylists and salon owners and people in school. Like, my videos, they are not biased whatsoever. I come after like clients who treat stylists terribly. I come after stylists who treat clients terribly. I come after stylists who treat one another terribly. I come after bad salon owners. Like, I am just trying to kind of make it a thing where we're all nice to each other.
Where have I heard all of that before?
I mean, I was inspired at 10 years old.
That freaks me out. 10 years old. Wow. I actually love that you have a message to it though, and it also sounds like getting on TikTok and starting out as a way to vent was a way to actually release it to support yourself through whatever you were trying to navigate through, whether it was not a great work environment, not a great boss, right? Being fresh in the industry and trying to navigate that. It sounds like that was a little bit of a coping mechanism for you as well that worked.
Oh, absolutely. I needed healthy coping mechanisms because I think that we all have our vices, whether they be food or, otherwise. And I was just at a point where I was like, if I go back to my old ways, then I will not be successful. And I wanted to try something different, and it worked out in my favor. And I'm glad to be where I am, and I'm glad that so many people have taken something positive from it and get a laugh out of seeing this girl in horribly put on wigs that I just throw in a box and don't take care of whatsoever. So, like, some of them I can't even use anymore.
That's what I like about it though. Honestly, that's what I really enjoyed when I went in and I was looking at you and researching you and I started to watch these videos was because you don't take it seriously. Like you can tell even when there's a message there that you're not taking yourself seriously. You're having fun with it.
Oh, I absolutely try to not take it super seriously. And I have this, you're probably going to be like, all right, I think you're a little bit less cool. But being on the internet, I'm sure with being a TV personality yourself, that people, they will find whatever reason to not like you. And a lot of people picked at my looks because, like, there was nothing else that they could really pick at. So I'm a natural blonde. I color my hair 1B, but when I'm up close and personal with the camera, a lot of times you can see my blonde nose hairs. And so a lot of my videos, you'll see like a comment that I've pinned and I'm like the comment, and it's like, not my blonde nose hairs making an appearance. Like, you have to have fun with it, and you have to let people know that, like, they're not going to get you down.
How do you navigate through that? Because I think one of the things that I find a lot, especially speaking to people starting out in the industry, and they're just trying to get their work out there, right? Maybe they don't want to put themselves out there at all, but they want to put their work out there and show what they're doing and try and get new clients and get recognized, is that fear of judgment.
Yeah, the judgment can absolutely be scary and daunting. And I think as humans, we are so much more likely to notice the bad versus the good, even when the good vastly outweighs the bad. Because if you look at my comment sections, a lot of times it's literally like 99 point, it's like Duramax level percentage of good comments. And then there's like between 3 and 20 out of 500, like mean or just kind of like snarky, whatever ones. And those were the ones that I used to let just ruin my day. And like, I would call my mom crying and be like, I'm gonna get off the internet and my mom was like, Siiri, you don't know these people. They don't know you. And you have 540 nice comments compared to the 3 nasty ones that you got. And so I think a little bit of it is just putting things in perspective and realizing that, like, you're not always going to be someone's cup of tea, and that's okay, because for every one person that like doesn't like me, there are 4.7 million people who do. And I think it's also really important to have a good support system, whether that be friends or family, and just like-minded individuals. Like I really lucked out with the community that I became a part of on TikTok, you know, like Teresa and Bailey and Benny and Marky and Meg and China and just so many other hairstylists who also make hairstylist videos. And some of us do skits and some of us don't, but we all try to be a voice for the people, no matter who the person is in the industry. And we're just trying to change the standard. And I think that having put things in perspective and taking a little bit of responsibility in addition to having a really good support system meshed together combines to be just like a shield, because even with putting things in perspective, I didn't have them once upon a time, and that's when like every other day I was on the verge of like, is this gonna worth it? And now that I have them, like I don't even acknowledge those comments half the time. Like I don't even really look at my comments, truly, because I just get so many. So it's not that I try to ignore like the wonderful people that do support me, but it's just become so liberating to not dwell on the negative and like go searching for it in my comments, because it's a weird thing that like we as humans do too, because even when I was having such positive feedback, I would still like look to make sure that like no one said something nasty, and then I would find it and I would be like, oh yeah, I need to delete this video. But now just having the people in my life that I have, like even you today, this has made such like no one can get me down, at least not for a month.
I thank you. I will take that compliment. And it's such an important thing to talk about, right? Like, um, when I first went on social media, it was a long time ago. Social media is a different animal. But going into media, when I went into it, it was still really new. It We didn't have numbers like you have, and it wasn't the landscape. I mean, God, I went on and it was MySpace, right? That's how long ago it was, and that was a really new thing. And the human part of us that you're saying is we look to the negative. That's just how we're wired as humans. And you can have 1,000, right? 105 really supportive, beautiful comments, and we go to that one negative one, and that's the one we hold on to. And if you don't have yourself in a great space mentally, and if you aren't surrounded by great people, that can really take you down a very not great rabbit hole and really stifle your creativity and your passion.
How 100%. I think that it even reflects in my analytics. You can see time spans where I would essentially be dormant because I had just had enough, and it didn't help that like my personal life and even like my work life just wasn't where it needed to be either. So there are so many different things that go into being able to do anything successfully, really. But I used to think that it was such a stupid saying, like "don't give up," but like truly, like don't give up.
No, it's not. Sometimes those sayings are the best ones because it's not. It. I think it's learning. It's not giving up, and also
Yes.
learning the coping mechanisms. Whether it's taking a step back, not reading the comments, having great people around you, whatever it is to enable you and inspire you to keep going.
Oh, 100%. I recently, like, just in terms of, like I said, putting things into perspective, I've been trying to change the way that I speak a lot. And I think that helps the way that people speak around me too. And like you can say, I love you, but, and that seems like just you're going to say something inherently negative, but you can be, I love you, and it just changes the entire mood and theme of the conversation. So, like, even when putting things into perspective, going from but to and, because a lot of times but really is a negative and it kind of gives you this out. Whereas, like, you can say what you need to say and then you can do and for like an addition so that you don't just kind of have but as a scapegoat to whatever is going on.
Yeah, totally. I am a big wordy. I believe that words are spells. So the way we speak, even with the right intention, sometimes the words we use and when we're really mindful can make such a difference to ourselves and the spells that we cast on us, but also to other people. How do
100%.
you how do you find balance between being a content creator? Is that what you call yourself? Do you think of yourself as a content creator?
I didn't used to, but now that I am across all platforms, like it's time to face facts.
Okay, so how do you balance that though? How do you balance your life as a content creator and your life as a working hairstylist?
Finding balance is not something that I have mastered yet, but it's something that I have definitely improved on. And I'm gonna be honest, there's some days where if I have videos made and set aside for posting so that I'm not recording every day, which cuts into whatever I'm needing to do that day, then, that's good. I have those videos set aside. So then if I'm off work that day, I'm like, okay, so should I clean? Should I go grocery shopping? A lot of times it's finding the balance of what to do with your free time. So sometimes with my free time, I'm not as diligent as I should be, and I kind of just decompress in terms of not looking at my work phone, not looking at my social media notifications, not looking at like my personal text messages. And Fortnite, I recently have like my partner and I have played Fortnite for like 6 hours straight, and I never ever was one of those people growing up who liked games, and I used to get so irritated with ex-girlfriends in the past who would just like game all day, and I was like, ugh, don't you want to do anything? But now I'm like, I get it. I actually get it. So in even in that regard too, I don't want people to feel bad. So like it's okay to take time to yourself sometimes, to be lazy, to eat the junk food, to sleep in longer than expected. Just don't make a habit of it, because on the days that I don't utilize my free time wisely, it's still like giving my body and my brain a break, because I'm always go, 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 go. I'm traveling, I am answering calls, I'm doing stuff like this, and they are all wonderful opportunities, but they are also very tiring. And so just in terms of balance, you can prep, you can meal prep if you're a content creator, you can video prep. One of my friends, Teresa Van Dam, early on in all of this that we have done, I asked her, I was like, Teresa, you post like 30 videos a week. How? And she was like, oh, on one of my days off, I record all of my content for the week so that when like the rest of the week, I just have time for work or for my husband or for my
Hmm.
family or for my friends. And that was my problem, because I'm constantly like, I'm going to record one video today and then I'm going to record one video tomorrow. And it all just caught up to me because it was cutting into time with my loved ones, or it was cutting into time at work. Like instead of eating while the color was processing, I was like, I'm gonna go make this quick TikTok. So just like with meal prepping, you can video prep and you can do all of these things that will set you up for success throughout the week. And you can also have lazy days and eat the junk food and take naps.
Yes, to the lazy days. I call them jammy days. They're pajama days, right? They're like just days that you don't put anything on, you just leave your jammies on and that's it for the day. I think we all need those. We all need those days where I don't like the term lazy because people feel bad about it. I don't like the guilt that's associated with it, but those days, because that's how we honor ourselves and how we replenish and fill ourselves back up. But it also sounds like you wear these different hats with what you do with content creation. I'm sure the expectations on you with the following that you have on TikTok are pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, and
There's a
then
lot of
you take
people
into
pulling at
account,
you.
oh yeah, and then you take into account like signing on with companies and having brand deals and videos that you're supposed to have posted by a said certain time, and it can all be very overwhelming. But I don't want to, I want to stress that it is such a wonderful opportunity, but it is tiring.
Yeah, and I don't want to I want to encourage people. So I'm not looking at stressing anyone out, but it also sounds like it's Like anything in life, it's really learning to put it in the buckets. Like today is the day that I create content, or I create content from this time to this time, or this day to that day, and then I do this and then I do that, so that it gives you kind of a fluidity to work through, and then also build in time for yourself to recharge and replenish.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't have children, but I have four dogs, and there were times that like the bare minimum of just taking my dogs outside and feeding them was all that I can do because I was so my battery was just drained. Like it was past the point of like 5% warning. Like phone just wouldn't turn on, bodies just wouldn't turn on. And so it was, like they are my children and I just didn't have the energy to really interact with them. But I was like, okay, this is a problem. So again, with having to put things in perspective, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pre-record and look for inspiration and everything and regurgitate videos for way back Wednesday or throwback Thursday or flashback Friday. Like that, there are so many different things that you can do to alleviate some weight off of you in like times of need.
So how do you find inspiration? Where do you look, or what is your go-to for that inspiration?
I scroll on TikTok, and a lot of times I will find different trends. And I also find inspiration in my friends. And also, a lot of people, like, I know that CapCut is used because a lot of trends on TikTok have to do with CapCut. But I don't think that CapCut is actually talked about enough because there are already these pre-generated video templates and they are like so cool. I don't know how people are creating them, but there are, I don't want to say millions, but at least like hundreds of thousands of them to choose from. And sometimes it's as easy as you just taking pictures from your camera roll and you plug it into this CapCut template and it turns it into this cinematic experience.
But the thing that is amazing about that is also you learned a hack to make your life easier and make it enjoyable for everyone that was watching you, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
make something fun in content creation. But it was also to take the pressure off you a little bit, and you utilize the tools that are in front of you.
Oh yeah. For anyone watching CapCut, jump on it.
I'll be writing it down. Not that I am doing it. I'm past. I think I am past that. Although maybe I'll come to you for lessons and we'll do TikTok lessons.
Yeah, we'll just see each other in person and I'll do a little CapCut video for us and it'll
I'll
blow your
come
mind.
visit. We'll do it. You'll teach me how to do it. I'll sign up for the account, right? You can teach the old lady how to do it. That's okay.
You can
Um,
teach me a few things too. I mean, I owe you at least a big part of my inspiration. You're Tabatha State over. I'm just series salon videos.
oh, stop. Listen, thank you. And also, that is the amazing thing about our industry, right? Is if I hope, and I'm honored if I can pave a path for anyone. Like if I can
I
break
can.
a little bit of a hole in the ceiling and someone else can come and you can come and smash the rest of the fucker down, then I have done my job and I am so incredibly honored. That's what
Oh,
it's about.
you go through several stories. When I did the Zoom with you and all of the other educators and just wonderful people in the industry, all of my friends from Hair Talk were from Tagatha's Takeover. I was like, yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious. But I think that's what we all do, right? I love that. And listen, it makes me feel amazing and I'm so appreciative. But I think that I look at people like you that are in full transparency. I'm not old by any means. I'm not going anywhere. So everyone that's sitting home and wants to write comments, fuck off. Um, but it is a whole new world, right? And technology, I didn't grow up in technology. So it is a learned skill for me and it's a learning process. You grew up with technology. You are growing and expanding with it. And I think what is available in our industry now through technology is so incredibly vast and so incredibly exciting.
Oh, it's so cool. I even prior to my having been on the internet to any extent other than Facebook, just posting for my family, excuse me, family and friends to see, I was still using the tools that were available on Facebook. I made like my little rinky-dink hair page in the small town that I was working in. And I am not from the area that I got licensed in, and even from the area that I moved to and opened up my salon suite in. So I've had to rebuild my clientele twice in life, completely from scratch. And the first time was without being an social media personality, whatever. And it was largely due to word of mouth via Facebook and Instagram, and then using the tools like how you could pay $5 to push your post out from your page to like a 30-mile radius of wherever you were for 3 days, and it just show up on people's feed. And it was like, it was like sponsored, and that's why it would show up, because they weren't following you. But even just investing in that, for me, invested in my career. And it went from me having like 0 clients and just waiting for walk-ins to me having 4 internet strangers message me and be like, I saw your post on Facebook that you were looking for a balayage client or an updo model or this or that or the other. And then it turned into them being repeat clients and me building my clientele. And it was just, through utilizing social media tools. So you don't even have to be a content creator to be successful. But you can still use social media to be successful.
That's why it's such an amazing outlet. Was there one video that tipped it over for you? Was there one thing that happened that kind of just changed the whole trajectory?
There was I had been following trends on TikTok and posting a couple, most of them having to do with dogs, because who can pass up a dog video?
No one.
And the dog one that I posted, it got like 100 views, and I literally ran out to the living room and I told my mom and her girlfriend, I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna be famous. And they just took it with a grain of salt and they rolled their eyes, and I was like, no, like, you guys think I'm kidding. And then a few days later at work, there was a sound on TikTok, and it was the Post Malone song where it was like they do this every year, but it was an edited version of the song where it was like they do this every year. And so I took one of my coworkers who was a brunette, and I had her sit in the chair with a cape on, and her very dark level 3 hair, holding up a phone with a picture from Pinterest of like a platinum blonde. And it was like my blonde client who went brunette in the winter time showing me a picture of platinum 3 months later in the spring. And then at the end, it was me with like an angry face and the shaking filter. And it was like, they do this every year. And literally, like, within 5 minutes of me posting it, it had reached hairstylists galore and hair students that had gotten like 900,000 views in an hour. And I went and told my mentor, and she was doing her aunt's hair. And her aunt was like, surely you mean 9,000. And she kind of said it like in a not so nice way. And I was so excited that I don't even think I realized how obnoxious I was. But I was like, no, I mean 900,000. And then I went to Walmart afterwards, and I was like at the self checkout, and it had hit over 1 million. And I like called my mom almost in tears, because I
That's
felt like
amazing.
I was Snippy walking around the Jefferson City Walmart. I was like, Mom, like, over 1 million people have seen me in James' face.
Can we talk about your mum for a second?
Yeah.
Because again, you had mentioned the webinar we were on. I sent you a couple of questions before we spoke today, and you actually shared that your mum was the one that pushed you into cosmetology school, that it wasn't what you wanted to do, or it wasn't what you thought of doing. But your mum was really the one that kind of pushed you into and inspired you to do that.
Yeah, she
Do you
was.
think, is she sounds like a lot of mums out there. She just had that sixth sense.
I mean, growing up, I grew up in like the scene emo kid era, but I was a little bit too young for it, so I couldn't have like the bright colored hair and the shaggy like wolf cut and teasing it. I was literally like in the third grade, but I was on YouTube searching like scene kid hair tutorial, and I was just obsessed with it. And then I remember being in like the eighth grade, still loving and living that look and taking Bic razors and giving myself like just very textured face framing and side swept bangs. And then it was like a little pop-up barber shop in the bathroom and at sleepovers in basements. Like I was literally cutting kids' hair that were in my grade with like $1 Bic razors. And then my mom, when I was in like the ninth grade, she even still has pictures on Facebook of it. She had me cut her bangs, and they were like cute side swept bangs. And then I started coloring my own hair, and I one year used like red splat, and then I got myself back to like a level 10 gold, and then the next year I did like all over blue, and then I found out about like muddiness, and just basically I had been doing like my hair and makeup, my own color, my own cuts, my friends cuts and colors, and my mom was always like, you should go into beauty school. But there was a stigma attached to our industry of like what kind of people stylists were and just bad experiences that people had. Like when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, my mom took me to get my hair cut afterwards, and I was still under the
Mhm.
influence of the
Groggy. Yeah.
medicine. And when I came to, like my hair was longer than it was now, but I came to, the woman had cut it to here. And like I loathed hairstylist existence at that point. I was like, it's true what everyone says. And then after I finished high school, I took a gap year, and it was like one of the worst years of my life. And I had to finally come home and admit defeat. And my mom was like, I love you and you're allowed to be sad, but you are not allowed to just lay on the couch and not do anything with your life. Like, you are too smart and you have too much potential. And then one day she came home and she was like, I enrolled you at the local beauty school. You're going. You're going to give it a chance. And if you hate it after the first month, then we'll enroll you in college. And like, I was ready to cuss her. I was so mad. And then I went and I fell in love, but I couldn't let her know that. I was still like, well,
You
we're
had
going
to
to have to go
rebel.
tour schools. And then finally I was like, okay, so I have a lot of best friends and I'm the salon manager and I'm entering this beauty competition with 10 other schools. And yeah, this was a really good choice, but like also,
Yeah,
next time ask.
you had to do the daughter thing and like make your mum suffer for a little bit. God forbid she had a good idea and you couldn't take credit for it. We've all been there. As daughters, I
Yeah.
think we've all been there.
Yeah, I think it helped me though, because now I'm 25 years old, and I think it takes people a lot longer than that to be able to like admit when their mom is right. And like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, no, my mom absolutely knows what she's talking about. I'm gonna trust her judgment.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting, and from a lot of people that I speak to, it starts for many of us in the industry, not everyone, but for many of us, it starts very young. We have this creative fascination of starting young, and that is whether it's hair, right, making things. There is this creativity that is sparked from a very young age that obviously our parents see, right? So even if they don't want us to go in the industry, or they don't think it's the right industry to be in, they can see that there is a creativity in this young one. What
Oh
was
yeah,
young
I
Siri like? Was you said that you were razoring people's hair and cutting people's hair when you were a kid. What was the creative spark in young Siri?
I just loved all things theatrical, and I loved art. I have an aunt who can draw extremely well, and my dad could also draw very well. And then we found out that I could draw very well, and my mom, she would put me in like art camps, and I was always my art teacher's like favorite student. And when I was a junior in high school, I had almost gotten commissioned from Relay for Life because they just walked in one day and saw me like painting these tie-dye circles, and they were like, we want those to be like the logo for our shorts for the color run this year. So like my entire life I've just been doing like creative theatrical. I don't want to say that I wanted to be the center of attention, but like my mom, after my dad passed one year, wrote on his Facebook wall, like she does every year for his birthday or my birthday. She said that like I am my father's daughter and that my presence demands attention. And I think that sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing, but I think a lot of it had to do with like my creativity and just my like don't give a shit attitude. Like if I enjoyed something, I was gonna do. I was also a trendsetter. Like I after watching Twilight, like seventh grade, I went to Hot Topic and I got the vampire teeth that could like mold to your teeth. And my mom was like, Siiri, I love how much of an individual you are, but kids are vicious and they're going to make fun of you. You know, like I was this cute little like chunky short haired middle schooler, but like I had charisma that people liked, and then I show up wearing vampire teeth. My mom was terrified that she was gonna have to pull me from school. No, like 15 other students showed up wearing like the Hot Topic vampire teeth too, and I was like, they're gonna make fun of me, huh?
That's hilarious. Were you That's hilarious because as a mum, right? Not that I'm a mother except a puppy mother, but I can see your mum going, "No, don't do crazy. Like don't do anything too out there. The kids are going to come pick on you." And instead, it sounds like you knew when to, in a way, sniff out or pre-vu a trend before it became mainstream, right? Or a trend.
Yeah, and I think too also just I went to like 14 different schools by the time I graduated and I'm not an army brat, but being a new kid so often caused me to have a thick skin. So I don't have the luxury of doing this as an adult, so it's a little bit more intimidating to do like certain scary out there things. But as a child, like my take on it was, I'm not gonna be at this school in 6 months or a year. Like, who cares? Whatever. I'm gonna do what I want. They're gonna remember me as this like weird kid, or this obnoxious kid, or like. So I would invent new personalities. Like one year I was like preppy, the next year I was goth. Like I don't know. I was just like, y'all aren't gonna know me. I'm not gonna be one of those kids that you grow up with. I'm gonna be at a new school soon.
And yet they all know you. And yet now when they look on, right, social
I
media,
I think
they
about
know
that. I'm
you.
like, I wonder who I grew up with, who like scrolls past me one day and was like,
Do
is
they ever
that
reach out? People don't reach out to you and go, "Oh my God, I went to elementary school with you," and or "I went to beauty school with you."
you reach out asking for money? I don't really get like do you remember me from like this school or this town or this whatever? It's honestly, I think being an influencer is a much more saturated industry than it used to be. Like if you go back to the Lele Pons and the Vine era, I think influencers were in their infancy. And so you see a lot of them now who are doing movies with like A-list actors. And I think that's where the gap is for the understanding of what pay is now compared to what it used to be, because I can understand why some people are like, oh my God, can I borrow this? And I'm like, how much do you actually think I make on the internet? Because I'm not in any of these movies with like Will Smith, girl. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself in wigs on TikTok. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a
Uh,
good living. I enjoy what I do, but I'm not in movies.
yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, but don't you just think being in front of a lot of people, like well, this is weird. I found my father, who walked out when I was 11 years old, through social media. His stepson reached out to me like 40 something years, 30 something years later, because I was Tabatha Coffey.
I get that. I forget how far I have a half brother that I don't talk to, but I made a I made a joking video one day on the internet because my dad wasn't around growing up, but like, I still love him, rest in peace.
Hmm.
But a lot of what I do is venting through like dry and crude humor because you gotta laugh about it so that you don't cry. And I have a brother that I don't talk to, and he's I have all half siblings, but I guess his fiance was one of my followers, and I made this, in my opinion, light-hearted video that like was about my hurt feelings, but it was a way to laugh about it. And man, she like went in on me in my messages, and I was like, "Who are you?" And she was like, "I'm your brother's fiance," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, those situations, like the ones that we just talked about, they're the weird ones in social media because does it ever just boggle your mind sometimes like, oh shit, yeah, so many people watch. So it could be like someone you went to beauty school with, elementary school with, dated, right? The grocery store clerk. It's crazy.
It's very surreal, and it's one of those things like I don't know. Oh gosh, people are gonna think I'm weird. If you have you ever Okay, so you know how they talk about like AI and robots like becoming
Hmm.
self-aware, and that's when it
Hmm.
like goes downhill. Like I have a lot of very like self-aware moments, and I know I'm not a robot, but like one of them is like there are almost 5 million people that follow me on TikTok. Like God knows who some of them are. Like are they all nice people? Are they all people? Obviously, they're not all people who know me, but like do I know all of the people who know me? Like, do they know me? I don't know. It's just a very scary thing to like actually realize and think about at night when you're awake and you're tired and be like, wow.
Yeah, it is. And not to your extent at all, but I know what that feels like. And as being someone that had happened when I was older and had a little bit more just life experience, I could imagine sometimes it's one of those overwhelming, it's one of those 3 o'clock moments, right? When you wake up and you're like, shit, this is happening.
Yeah, and I'm already a hypochondriac, so like it spirals, and then like I'm like, oh gosh, no, I'm gonna take a melatonin.
Yeah, totally. Take a melatonin. I do it, makes everything better. What keeps you feel so upbeat and like you're really enjoying what you're doing? What keeps you inspired in your work,
It's
especially if you hit challenging times or if you hit times where you're just like, ugh, I'm drained, right? I just don't have the juice anymore. What keeps you inspired?
definitely taking a break from whatever is overwhelming, and I think a lot of people are scared to do that, whether it be for financial reasons or otherwise. And I get it because not always in my career was I as financially stable as I am now, that if I wanted to step back from behind the chair completely forever or for at least the time being, I could. And so I don't want people to be like, oh, well, of course she can do that. Like when I was in the first year of hair doing hair and being licensed, there were some things that happened, and I took some time off, and it was not the most financially sound decision, but it helped my soul so much. And then once my soul was healed a little bit, of course, the stress caught up of like, okay, girl, you got to pay your bills, so like you do have to step back into it. But just like what Tabitha was talking about with the jammy days, that is okay to take time to yourself, whether that
Mhm.
is decompressing and taking time away from, like, sometimes I have 4 dogs, and they can be overwhelming. So sometimes I give them a chew toy or a bone, and like individually so that they're not fighting over it, but I will go and sit in the other room because I just don't want to be licked or crawled on or sniffed. Like sometimes you just need a break. You can take a break from partners, and that can be you just going and sitting in the shower or grocery shopping by yourself. You can take a break from clients by setting the boundary of I'm not going to answer work related things on weekends or days that are not work. Like if you are off Mondays and Tuesdays, don't text clients back on Mondays and Tuesdays, obviously, unless it's like a cancellation or something, and then you can send them like just something kind, being like, okay, I will get that canceled and I will like we will talk about rescheduling like on such and such, because it's nice to give someone acknowledgement, but you can
Mhm.
still maintain that boundary. And what also keeps me inspired, again, as being around like-minded individuals. It was like the second year of doing hair. I was still at the salon that I was extremely unhappy at and I was not growing in. And I had what so many stylists feel in the infancy of their career. I had stalled out, I had burnt out, and I felt like it was a dead end job. And I was like, where is this passion that everyone is talking about? And I went to my first hair show ever. I went to the St. Louis hair show, and being around so many other hairstylists and hearing Daniel Mason Jones talk about just growing up and what led from A to B, and seeing all of these different hair tools and all of like these different like styling booths and cutting booths, it was just so energizing and so liberating. And even to this day, with me being as happy and as like successful as I am, and I hope to be more happy and more successful one day, I still get extremely burnt out and tired. And then I go to ABS or I go to Premiere or I do a Zoom with you guys or I do something with Salon Centric, and just being around people who are passionate about my passion, it's like magnets, like you're drawn to each other, you share these stories, you share a passion, you share a fire, you become energized. And when I come home, like you would have thought that I just came home from a retreat, that I was doing like just nothing but sunbathing and tanning and swimming, when like I was doing absolutely the opposite. Like I was working, I was learning, I was talking, but I had so much fun. And then when I come home, I'm like just buzzing with ideas. I'm like, I want to do this class. I want to teach this. I want to go to this class. I want to try this brand out because I saw it in a booth. And so if you're ever feeling down about your industry, no matter what industry that is, whether it be like a seminar or a con or a show, like I highly recommend going,
Yeah.
because I didn't even have the friends that I have now or really any other friends other than my coworkers when I went to my first hair show. And it was still so liberating and eye-opening. And I was like, okay, I don't think that this salon is where I need to be at, but I do know that this career is what I need to be in.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great point, right? Because it's having the discernment and to be able to say, I am burnt out, or I'm feeling underappreciated or undersupported, right? Whatever it is. So it's not the career or it's not my passion, it's the environment.
Hmm.
It's finding how you feed yourself in all ways and how you're nourishing yourself in the environment you're in, the people you're hanging out with, what you're putting in your body and how you're taking care of your body and soul and spirit. And it's all of those things. So I believe it must be so hard to be young coming into the industry sometimes. I can't even imagine, which is why I'm so passionate about education, because we're becoming more insular, right? We're looking to social media, which is amazing. And it's inspiring and it's fun and it's entertaining, but we're not out and about as much, or we're working in small environments now because we're working in suites and studios and we're not in big salons the way we used to in my the beginning of my career, for sure. And it can
Yeah,
feel a
it
little
absolutely
isolating.
limits the
Yeah.
connections.
It does. And I think it's so incredibly important. Who you surround yourself with is so important. Who you follow on social media is so important, right? What you look at is important. The words you speak are important to consistently feed you and uplift you. And it sounds like
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
found that with the people personally and professionally that you've surrounded yourself with as well.
Well, yeah, the consumption of any kind is huge on just, what you take in is kind of what you feel and then what you essentially put out. And like I used to be a caffeine nut, and I would have like a latte with Ep3 shot of espresso like 2 times a day. So that was like 6 shots of espresso. I was, grinding my teeth in my sleep, not being able to sleep. I even recently, like, I have very bad ADHD, and I was on ADHD medicine, and I have been a little bit more scatterbrained since I got off. But 2 weeks ago, I stopped watching like some of the horror films because I like the horror genre. But like I said, consumption, like what I take in was like what I was thinking about and like what I was dreaming about, and all of that caffeine making my heart race, and my ADHD meds were helping me focus, but they were making me hyper focus, and I feel like they were hindering like some of my creativity. So as you can tell from this, I'm a little bit like swirly and just rambling all over the place. But I think that since I've given up a lot of like toxins and carcinogens like caffeine and just like really gross processed sugars, like, and even like just bad things on TV and even social media, like I feel great because what I'm taking in sits inside of me and then I put it back out into the world. Because if we had this Zoom call 2 weeks ago, it would have gone different.
It would have? How so? Why? What
Oh,
would
I
have
prob-
happened?
I probably would have been like a zombie, and I would have seemed very timid, and I don't know. A lot of people have told me over the past 2 weeks, which I'm like, how did I even have friends up until this point? And I know that I'm making it seem so much worse than it actually is, but a lot of people are like, you seem so much nicer. You seem so much happier. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, I sleep every night, and I hang out with my dogs. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. Like, I have energy. I want to do things. I don't get everything done because I can't focus, but like, I'm a big dude.
But don't you, so do you feel like that and those changes that you've made, though you're actually plugging into your authentic power source? Like you're probably still learning, right? And the lifestyle changes that you've made, but you're actually plugging into who Siiri is authentically and just naturally. I
Oh,
don't mean you were fake. I
100.
don't mean you were faking it before, but masking it with like as we all do, right? With caffeine and the shit that we do and put in our body, you
No,
never get
yeah,
your natural level.
yeah, 100%. Um, I gave up alcohol in November. I gave up caffeine and my ADHD meds 2 weeks ago. And for anyone watching, that's not, if you want to do that, I would recommend talking to your physician. I'm not a
100%.
medical professional. I'm just doing what my doctor is okay with and what I know I'm okay with. But it works for me. And I know that for everyone, that's not something that is compatible for them. But I truly, since giving up like alcohol, and I quit cigarettes 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I quit vaping, I quit caffeine, I quit my medicine that was like making my heart race and just so many other things. And like, I, the people who are discovering this new version of myself, I am also discovering this new version of myself. Like, I enjoy waking up and I see the world through a different lens, and I breathe better, I sleep better. It's all so weird. And there are some things that I was like, okay, like maybe it was all of the caffeine that was making me a hypochondriac. Like there are some things that are just a part of you, and there like are traits of mine that, whether I drink alcohol or caffeine or whether I don't, like they're always going to be there. But for the most part, I can say that just eating better, drinking less, not drinking at all, drinking more water. I don't think that we appreciate water as much as we should either. Like
Well,
I
same.
remember surviving on like the 20-ounce cans of Red Bull because I just needed energy through a work day. And I'm like, yeah, it gave me the caffeine, but honestly, if I probably would have drank like that much water or more, like I would have felt better and still been able to work. I don't know, like what you were talking about earlier in terms of like balance too. Something that I am really wanting to push onto the new generation and not have carry as like generational trauma or generational practices within our industry is like, I know that we used to kind of brag and talk about like grinding and like not getting a lunch, and that's something that like we joke about, but like it's really not funny anymore. Like you need to eat throughout the day, you need to drink water throughout the day, you need to take time off of your feet when you're doing a 12-hour shift, and like most of it is a color correction or all of it is a color correction, or you have clients back to back. Like take time to yourself. You have to take care of your body. Otherwise, like you won't be able to do this long term. And that doesn't even just mean physically, because like emotionally and mentally, it will catch up to you by not taking care of your physical.
Yeah. Listen, agreed. Someone who's been doing this since they were 14. So I've been in this industry for a long time, and that was the hustle, right? That was the hustle and grind that we were brought up on. It was a badge of honor to not eat, and it was a badge of honor to not pee. Like to be able to hold your pee all day and to never go to the bathroom, that was like a badge of honor that at the end of the day, everyone was fighting to go to the restroom because they'd held it all day. It's so frigging unhealthy for us, and it's so not necessary. So I agree. I think it's important to have these conversations, to talk about the challenges that we've gone through, not to dwell on them, to show how we can overcome them and move through and to keep going, right? To your point earlier, to
100%.
just keep going and to get through them, but also how to do it in a more holistic and a smarter and a healthier way, and healthy in all aspects, mentally healthy, physically healthy, and emotionally healthy. It's really important. What is next for you hair wise? Where do you hope to take the hair portion next?
Um, I'm doing another um oh my gosh, words. I'm doing another appearance at ABS this year. I get to work alongside all of my best friends. I'm doing a class with my best friend, Bailey Lavender, and then I'm on several panels throughout the rest of the show with other wonderful people. I am re-signed with Salon Centric, and I do like educational videos and lives, and the talk of classes potentially hopefully is happening, and then maybe something with Premiere Orlando, fingers crossed. I am getting really inspired and just loving the education aspect. I love talking to people. I love getting to meet people. And like you said about the connectivity, like I want to be at shows, I want to be at classes. Even if it's something that we do have to do virtually, like I want to do it over the phone with large groups of people, because to your point, I completely get it. I think that we kind of glaze over the fact that we're not really connecting, but we think we are, because the internet can take you so far and wide. But I never feel as energized, like I said, except for when I'm around so many other like-minded people. So I would like to step back from being behind the chair as often and get more into the educational aspect of it and meet so many more wonderful people and hopefully make a difference. And, even if it's in one person, at least I've done that.
Agreed, and amen to that. I think just making, again, the beautiful thing about this industry is that we can go in so many different directions, and there's so many different ways that we can go and celebrate each other and inspire other people. And if we can inspire one person and help one person over that hump that they've gone through, I believe we're ahead of the game. The rest is gravy, right? When you
Absolutely.
can do that, and you were doing that in so many different ways. I think it's such an interesting bridge of what's happening now. I don't like the term influencer personally, so I will use it as a content creator. As a content creator, the bridges now and the avenues that are being opened up are so incredibly interesting. And I think it really helps people see what is available to them in different ways. And also to have some fun. And I love that. I love to just see you out there and having fun and inspiring people and making us laugh, making yourself laugh. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I'm curious and inspired to see what is next for Siiri Parks.
Apart from this, I can't wait to see what else you're doing. It sounds like at the beginning when you said that you had gone through something, I'm assuming that this means that you are feeling better and climbing out of that rabbit hole. So I hope that it just continues to progress positively, and I can't wait to see where both of us are even a month from now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm definitely feeling better and ready to. I have the bandwidth now to reconnect. Um, and it's nice actually because I get to discover people like you, right? But I mean that sincerely. Like for me, it's inspiring for me. I have always been so inspired by young people in the industry, and I don't mean by age, but that haven't been around as long as I have. I'm just inspired by that. So for me to kind of come out of this hole that I've been in, and go on Instagram or look on TikTok, although I haven't joined up yet, and see all of these incredible creatives and people, that's so friggin' inspiring to me. I love it. It feels like a whole new industry.
It's definitely a whole new world. Sometimes it's cool, and sometimes I feel like those moms that people make fun of on the internet where they're like holding their phone and they're like, how do you do this? Because you will never actually see me doing like the fun trends with the transitions that they're hard. I don't know how people do them. I'm like, I'm gonna stick it old school and just record myself in wigs.
Yeah, but I don't, honestly, Siri, I don't, not that you need my advice, because my advice, you do not need that at all. But I think the thing that, what I mean by that is I wouldn't even look at that. Like all those trends that everyone are doing, they're great. It's finding what really resonates with people and where you're being true and you feel like you're being true. Whether it's on TikTok watching it or whether it's talking about you kind of breaking into education more and doing these classes and working at Orlando and with Salon Centric, it feels like it's exciting to you, and that is what makes it infectious to other people.
I mean, it's very exciting, and it's scary, it's exciting, it's I don't know, it's a whole new world. I feel like the Little Mermaid. I feel like I got my legs and now I'm getting to see everything, and like I'm just uh, I hope that I get to like kiss Eric and keep my life so that I can like stay in this world and continue to meet new people because I don't want to go backwards. Yeah, I definitely think that it's important to look back and understand and resonate with it and appreciate it and stay humble, but I don't ever want to go backward. I want to just continue to go forward.
Oh, agreed. I couldn't agree more. And scary is good,
Scary
right?
is good.
Scary is good. People get scared of the scare. People get fearful of the fear. Scary is good.
Yeah, it's like I always think of it like surviving or riding like a really big roller coaster. I'm like those butterflies like they're there for a reason, but also like once you go down in that roller coaster, it's like the best thing of your life. Once you hit the water, you know, hopefully like not belly flopping, but like you break the surface and you're like, "Oh, I did it."
And you know what? Even a belly flop, it's okay here and there. So, um, thank you, thank you. After reflecting on our conversation with Siri Parks, I was inspired by her perspective on navigating the complexities of today's digital age with a real world landscape. Siiri's candidness and self-awareness illuminate a path for us all striving to live more authentically and mindfully in a really fast-paced digital environment. From consciously choosing how we engage with social media to balancing rest and activity, also while honoring our emotions and still moving forward. Siiri's insights remind us of the importance of living with intention while also having some fun. Her discussion on brands' responsibilities towards mental health in the creative industry highlights the need for mindful collaborations. The takeaways from our conversation with Siiri are lessons and invitations to reflect on how we navigate our lives. For those inspired to dive deeper into their mindset journey and seek a community that supports their growth, I invite you to join me at thrivehive.co. Here we continue exploring these themes through live monthly classes aimed at fostering your authenticity and creative spirit. Discover more at thrivehive.co. Thank you again to Siiri Parks for sharing your journey and insights with us on Creative Thrive. Your really thoughtful approach to life offers invaluable lessons in navigating our creative personal journeys with intention, grace, and humor. And we could all use a little bit more of that. And to our listeners, I hope this conversation inspires you to embrace your authentic self, set meaningful boundaries, and engage with the world in a way that enriches your life. Remember, you can follow, like, and subscribe to Creative Thrive on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Your support helps us to bring more stories of creativity and thriving to light. Until we meet again, keep nurturing your creative spirit and don't hesitate to let it soar. See you next time on Creative Thrive.